You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. As always, my name is Joe Gourde. Alongside me, it's Joseph Carl. It's Matt Gannon. Guys, welcome back to the show. Another week of Lightning hockey to get to. We don't have that many left in the regular season. The playoffs are right around the corner. Should be a really fun show for everybody here. We got a lot of things to talk about. All of the games, of course, we're going to recap. Look at our 3 stars. Look at the schedule ahead and what it means for the playoffs. But first and foremost, guys, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well. You said a nice week of hockey that we had, and things are starting to get pretty intense. It feels like almost every game is a playoff game with the way these standings are going.
It seems like the season has just flown by. It doesn't feel like there's 5 or 6 games left in the season. It really feels like it started yesterday. Maybe not the greatest week of Lightning hockey I've ever seen, but it could always be worse. We collected a couple points.
That's very true. It could always be worse. It could have gone 0-3. That's never a good thing. But it should be a lot of fun. We got to get into it all. And Joe, it's funny you mentioned these all feel like playoff games. I feel like that's like just the Atlantic Division, because the Atlantic Division, for whatever reason, is so tightly contested. Meanwhile,
I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, right. Let's get right into it, because we shouldn't wait too much. Welcome everybody in that's watching it with us live as well. Don't forget, drop your comments down below. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Join the conversation with us. But with that said, let's talk about this first game. Lightning versus the New York Islanders. Islanders, a team that are fighting for a wild card playoff spot right now. They need all the points they can get, but the Lightning look pretty good in this game. They win it 4-1. Oliver Bjorkstrand on the board, Jake Gensel, Victor Hedman, Nick Paul. Those are all your goal scorers. This is a game that I thought, guys, the Lightning looked pretty solid in. I think there's some people that would maybe disagree with me, but I thought overall this was a good game.
See, I have the memory of a squirrel, and from everything that I can remember, I thought it was a pretty darn good game played by the Lightning. Like in pretty much every basic counting category, it seems like the Lightning, other than power play, of course, seemed like they got the edge on everything. Like from what I can remember in this game, I'm terrible at taking notes too. The Lightning, I wouldn't say they dominated it, but were in control of this game for a vast majority of it. It seemed just like the Lightning wanted it more, especially, against a team fighting for their playoff lives, like the Islanders always seem to do. I thought the Lightning were a much better team. If, there's anything I'm missing, what are people really griping about this game? Is there anything you saw, Joe?
It looked to me like they had the game pretty well and under control. Vasi was playing outstanding. Kuch with he had an assist to Victor Hedman that I thought was absolutely hilarious, because he passed it to Hedman in the slot that was coming down with steam, and then he kept his stick at Kucherov kept his stick at like hip level and just kind of didn't re-engage in the play, as if he just knew that puck was going to score the second that it was received by Hedman. And then he had another outstanding assist to Gensel on the back door. Playing really well. Let's see the shot differential. Islanders had 5 more shots than we did. Islanders really kind of needed to get these wins to still be in the playoff picture, but dropping that game, and then the way that, let's see, who is the Red Wings are playing, they just started falling down the standings, and for a team that should have been desperate, I thought Tampa handled them pretty well.
Kucherov, 112 points he's at right now after all of these games that we're going to talk about this week. Only a couple behind McKinnon. That guy, it's just night in, night out. It is absolutely ridiculous what he does in every single game. He is really, really impressive at what he does. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I thought this was a solid game for the Bolts. You win 4-1. It's on the road as well, which is a spot the Lightning have kind of struggled with. We'll get into that more because unfortunately, this is the only win we have to talk about here today. But the road has been an issue for the Lightning. Look good in this game. So happy with the 2 points. You move on. But here's the big game. We talked about this last week. This is kind of the one we circled on the calendar, and that was against the Ottawa Senators because it's a potential playoff preview. If the Lightning are able to win first place in the division, which it's still possible, it's a little tougher now after these 2 games that they've lost, and Toronto's been playing very well, but still possible. Senators are a team they would play. They lose this one, guys, by a final score of 2-1. Now, unfortunately, because of the Florida State League baseball schedule, I'm starting to miss a couple of games, and I hate missing games. So I didn't get to see all of it, but from what I gathered, it's a 2-1 game. The Senators are still trying to secure their playoff spot. I didn't think this was an awful game from the Lightning. You're not going to win them all, but they kept it close. It was a hard-fought battle, and it does seem Ottawa, I don't want to say has our number, but I feel like these games we have a hard time playing the Ottawa Senators. I feel like.
There's one thing I want to bring up with the standings, which is one of the things I was excited about. Because Ottawa keeps winning and Florida keeps losing, Ottawa's only 2 points behind the Panthers. So the division is anything but set in stone. Who knows, the way things can shake out. We could stay exactly where we're at and end up playing the Senators. We could jump the Maple Leafs and end up playing the Senators. We could jump the Maple Leafs and end up playing the Panthers, even though we have the lead in the division. So these games are pretty crazy. The way this division is stacking up. And I thought I loved the way that the Lightning played. They just got almost no puck luck whatsoever, and I thought that they handled the Senators pretty well. Just couldn't end up getting the tying goal. And I'm pretty confident the Lightning would have won if they had tied it.
Yeah, and like the last game, I thought the Lightning were the better team throughout most of this game. Maybe a little sleepy to start the first period, but the power play let them down again. There wasn't really much doing there, but even strength, I thought the Lightning controlled the play for most of the game. And then the third period, I have to hand it to the Senators. They parked the bus. They did a really good job of limiting the chances that we could get, keeping us, out of the zone, everything, all the shots and passes to the outside. The Senators did a good job of shutting it down, and it wasn't a full-on goalie game, but we darn near got goalied by Linus Ullmark. He had a really good game. There were some really close chances that he came up clutching. It's a bummer because, like you're saying, Jake, the Senators do kind of have our number a little bit. I was a little more optimistic going into this game because, it wasn't an afternoon game against Ottawa or a matinee game or anything. That's our real biggest weakness against Ottawa. So I thought we had a chance here, but yeah, I gotta hand it to Ottawa. They played a really good shutdown style of game. They got their goals early and then just parked the bus.
Here's my thought process on the game too, though. If this is the kind of game that you show up against Ottawa in a playoff series, in a 7-game series, Ottawa's not going to win all these games. So I thought they played well, and it just unfortunately, like you kind of said, Joe, didn't get the puck luck that they needed to end up getting the win. Looking at the standings, by the way, you are right. Ottawa literally 2 points behind Florida, and they're only 4 points behind us. Now, we do have a game in hand on that as well, but the Atlantic Division, I mean, it really is just crazy how close the Atlantic Division is and how much it can change. So still a lot to play for the Lightning, and I do think home ice could be in. Now, I know the players and coaches will tell you this all the time that it doesn't matter. And a lot of the times you can kind of just throw every stat you look at from the regular season out the window once playoff starts because it really is a different beast. But I'll ask you this now because we're kind of on the topic here. Are you guys any bit concerned about the way the Lightning have played on the road? It does seem like that's been a little bit of a weaker point. Kind of makes sense. Usually teams are better at home. But how concerned are you heading into the playoffs here and hoping the Lightning get a higher seed to get that home ice advantage?
Like, it would be nice, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Like, this team, as cliche as it is and as overused as it is, make the playoffs and then figure out. Like, who cares, where you're seated, just make the playoffs and then figure it out. I don't think we're like the LA Kings where you're just completely dominant at home and then just useless on the road. Like, if you look at their home and away records, it's almost comical. It's similar, but it's not anything like the LA Kings. So yeah, it'd be nice to have home ice advantage, but at the end of the day, it's a 1-game difference if it really does come down to it. So I don't think it's huge, but it would be a nice bonus. And right now, the way everything's shaping out, if things, stay where they are, you at least get it for the for the first round. So that would be nice, but it's not the biggest killer in my opinion.
I mean, I kind of respectfully disagree.
Tell me.
I mean, if you look at the Kings, they really only have 4 less losses at home. So they're playing a little bit better than home than the Lightning. And then let's see, was it 4 more 4 more losses on the road? So they're just a little bit worse on the road than we are. I think it's still a problem where you got to get confidence so that it's not a thing going into the playoffs, right? So if they would have gone through this road trip and captured all 6 points out of it. Actually, is the road trip for? Is there one more game, tonight's game? So all 8 points out of this road trip, then you can definitely say that they're able to perform on the road, but they're not going to get another chance to have a road trip. So getting the monkey off the back before the playoffs start, so it's not a thing, I think is kind of important. And there's no doubt that the Lightning play really, really well at home in the playoffs as well with the atmosphere that we have here. So sorry about my dogs going nuts. So I mean, I think it's something that could lead to, if we end up playing someone like Ottawa, them getting a little bit of that home court advantage, and it might affect the Bolts.
Your dogs clearly want the home ice advantage. I think they agree with you there. For anyone wondering, the record for the Lightning this year, 27-8-2 at home and 17-18-4 on the road. So, Matt, I'm normally with you in saying, like, listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You just need a ticket to the dance. And I think that this still holds partially true. But from what I've seen this year, I feel like home ice is a little more important than it normally is. Players and coaches aren't ever going to tell you that, but I would definitely like to get any home ice advantage that you can. Also, selfishly, I just want to see them play at Amalie Arena.
But would you say 17-18-4 on the road? Is that the record?
Correct. Yes.
And so 4 of those losses are coin flips. One of them at least is a shootout loss, and then the other 3 were 3-on-3 overtime losses. I forget exactly how it shakes out, but both of those scenarios are both coin flips. Like in the NHL playoffs, you don't have to deal with a shootout or 3-on-3 overtime. So that could go either way. Over the last couple of years, I don't think this team has notoriously been great in those specialty periods. So that's why
actually not. You're right.
So that's why I'm not overly concerned.
That's a fair point, for sure. And it's the playoffs. The playoffs are a different beast. And Joe, you kind of pointed out there's a couple more road games. We'll see how they finish out here, especially against the Rangers. And I don't think they played bad against the Senators. That's a game on the road. And even when you look at this game against the Buffalo Sabres, which the Lightning ended up losing 3-2 in a shootout. So this is one of those games included in those 4 extra time losses. The Lightning were right there in this game. They actually took a 2-1 lead in the second period, eventually surrendered it in the third on a power play goal to Buffalo. Jonas Johansson in net. He played a very good game in this one, I think, guys. But another game that was close. Lightning probably should have won it, but just aren't able to pull it out. They have clinched by this scenario, or by this time, guys, because Lightning had a chance to clinch against the Senators. They couldn't do it. But then due to the Rangers loss to the Devils, the Lightning officially clinched their playoff spot. You never want to say that has anything to do with it, and you think the Lightning are playing for seeding right now, but maybe sometimes that's a little bit of a factor. But a 3-2 loss, still thought they played pretty decent. I am a little concerned about the power play, though, because it was 0-for-3 in this game as well. And, man, the power play seems to have such big hot and cold streaks.
Yeah, I mean – I don't know. The team kind of played like they secured a playoff spot 3 hours before the game, in my opinion. I thought Buffalo was the better team throughout most of this game, too. And you have to also attribute it to the yearly, once Buffalo's way too far out to make the playoffs, surge to screw up their draft pick. I mean, Buffalo just really turns it on at the end of the season, at the start and at the end of the season. But from November till March, they're just trash. So,
Buffalo fans just need to tell their team that they've been eliminated a lot sooner than they actually are.
Right, and they're still not even technically eliminated, I don't think. So, like, they're playing real. They're not, and they've been playing really good. I'm not even just joking either. Like, they put a beating on the Capitals. I think it was like 8-5 or something. They've beat a lot of teams recently.
You're right; they're not eliminated.
Yeah, like there's still a snowball's chance that they make it, but I wouldn't be expecting it. But yeah, Buffalo.
No, sorry. On your point, listen to this. So you look at the last 10 statistic, and you look at all the teams that are still in it that are not in a playoff spot right now. Rangers are 4-5-1. Detroit is 5-4-1. New York Islanders 4-4-2. Columbus 3-6-1, and then Buffalo 7-3-0. They are by far the best team still in the playoff hunt right now in their last 10. That is crazy.
I mean, I'd love to see them in the playoffs. Genuinely, I would. That the Buffalo is one of the teams that I like halfway cheer for. I like maybe out of pity, but yeah, for whatever reason, they turn it on when it's way too late. And I guess it's not too late yet, but it's almost too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
I will say in this game that we did get some pretty good performance out of Johansson in net. He faced 38 shots, ended up having a .947 save percentage, and then, obviously it, like you said, it's kind of a coin flip once you get to a shootout, and unfortunately he ended on the opposite side of it. But he played a pretty solid game for the Lightning. However, I still kind of feel that we may have gotten the win if Vasi was in net.
Well, when you give up 38 shots for 38-24, and you're putting that much strain on your goaltender, like it's gonna happen. And you are right though, Joe, too, because that's how good Vasilevsky is, that even when Johansson's playing good and had a really nice game, and you don't even put too much blame on him, Vasi's just that good that he does probably give you a chance to win no matter what is going on for the team. So there's a lot of little things in this game. They didn't get the win. They clinched. It wasn't Vasi in net, even though Johansson did play well. Power play also wasn't great. The question again, and I feel like we've said this the last couple of years, and I feel like they can, but can the Lightning put it all together when the playoffs start? I think overall, maybe not taking out this week especially, but the last 2 weeks, they've been playing very good hockey for the most part, especially when they hit that winning streak.
I think they played well this week. Also just maybe in this Sabres game they kind of dropped the ball, but I thought they really outplayed the Senators and just didn't end up getting the points out of it that they deserved.
Yeah, just kind of faltered just a little bit, but overall they've been playing very good hockey as of late. So you expect once the playoffs start, if they continue playing like this, they would win 7-game series. And that's the one nice thing about hockey, right? It's not just one bad game and you're screwed and your season is over. There's 7 games. You got to win 4 of them you got to win 4 of them to move on to the next round. So still overall, I don't have too much concern. Maybe the power play just a little bit because it's so weird how streaky it is. You guys have any concern over the power play, or is that just me?
Not about the power play, but I am maybe not even concerned, but just questioning what makes this team so streaky, because from the start of the season, it's like, man, I mean, what are we going to do? Are we going to make the playoffs? And then the next week, it's like, I don't think we're ever going to lose again. Like, this team looks incredible. And then, wash, rinse, and repeat. So that's my biggest concern is, can they, keep a hot streak going? And I think the worst this year ever got was 4 losses in a row, I want to say, which, that will turn into a sweep in the playoffs. But, I mean, they put together 8 last month or 2 months ago, whenever that was. So
I think that's the second time they did it in the season too, right?
Maybe, but their highs are really high and their lows are low, but not low enough to offset the highs. So I think this team is ready to make a deep run. It just depends, where all the cards fall.
Yeah, I agree, and they've got enough experience where they're not coming into the playoffs kind of gun shy and not knowing what to expect, and enough of these guys will almost take time off, if you will. They'll, kind of not have great games and get streaky, but the team overall seems to do well enough to make it to the playoffs. And then this team is a completely different animal once the playoffs start. So from the power play standpoint, though, I thought it looked pretty good against the Senators, to be honest. Again, they just didn't get puck luck. They even changed which side Kucherov was operating from, trying to build in those other dynamic looks. And I mean, this power play has been pretty much the same thing the entire season, and with that, teams know how to defend it. So getting a couple different looks at it, I think, is a good thing coming up into the playoffs. The power play is definitely going to be key, though, if they can keep drawing penalties, especially with the plays that they've been. How many breakaways did this team have in the last 3 games? I mean, not all of them were finished, but so many breakaways. And when you're able to get behind the defense, that means you probably have a pretty good chance of generating more power play opportunities too, as they get desperate to either hold or hook in order to stop that chance. And if they can get the power play running, then I think they'll be in really good shape. We know what the PK can do.
Another thing that I find solace in too is the power plays tend to go away in the playoffs too. Like, I mean, not completely. You still have to rely on it. It'd be great if you can score power play goals, but the majority of the game throughout the entire season is played 5-on-5. So the 5-on-5 is not the issue, in my opinion. Yeah, there's some things every team needs to clean up, but again, the power plays get slimmer and slimmer in the playoffs the deeper you go. So, and honestly, it's not quite as bad as, I can't remember, was it last year or 2 years ago where all the shorthanded goals were going in, but we are back at the top of the league in shorthanded goals allowed. We're tied with the Boston Bruins with 12, which is a pretty high number considering the third place team has 8. So not a great look. So I'd love for them to tidy up a bit on the power play. But again, it's not the biggest concern of mine come playoffs.
The Lightning and shorthanded goals. What is it with them? It's the shorthanded goals. It does happen a lot. I'll say this. I think this is one of the best teams. Like, I'm most excited for these playoffs since like the years they won the cups. Like, I think this team is better than in 2 years past. So I think they've got a really good shot. I think they can beat a lot of teams. I don't think these first 2 rounds are going to be easy. I don't like any of the draws that they have for potential first round matchups. I'm not thrilled by any of them, but I do think this team's got a lot of potential for the postseason. I think they will absolutely be ready.
I think it's too late too, but I like the approach that Florida is taking and losing just every game in hopes to try and play the Capitals right now. Because I mean, the Capitals have been really good all season, but they are really, really starting to falter. I would love to be the wild card too right now. That'd be great.
Something Ovechkin.
That's pretty much what the Capitals in Ovi's record-breaking goal that he scored. That was the only goal Washington scored. They lost the Islanders 4-1 in that game.
Because the game was over at that point. They had a 23-minute hiatus after the goal was scored.
Was it 23 minutes?
I timed it because I was one of my buddies and I were talking. He said that they're supposed to be allotted like 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I saw him like, that is ridiculous to stop a game for 7.5 minutes to do a presentation. Wait till the intermission. Wait till the start of the next game or something. I just didn't like stop an entire game. And it was like almost directly in the middle of the second period. So they stopped for 23 minutes, and then of course the Capitals didn't get it going again. You know, that was their whole game.
Lame. They should be better. The bottom line is it's time to gear up for the Lightning playoffs, and you can do that by heading over to shop.rblrsports.com. We got some awesome team-inspired merch over there for you guys. Lightning, Rays, Bucks, Rowdies, Sun, you name it, we got it. Again, that is shop.rblrsports.com, and you guys can use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. So get over there, gear up for the playoffs. It's right around the corner. We've only got 2 weeks left, I think it is. We're very close is the bottom line, and I'm ready to go. It is 2 weeks officially, so it's right around the corner. All right, let's look at our 3 stars of the week this week, guys. It's Nikita Kucherov 3 stars of the week, essentially, is what we're going to go with. But a lot of guys did play some good games despite the losses. Starting with our number 3 star. He has returned. He is back, and I've loved every second of watching him play in a Lightning uniform. It's just right. This is where he belongs, guys. 3rd star of the week, Yanni Gourde. Well-deserved 3rd star of the week. He's been running around out there 24/7, throwing hits, making plays. I've loved him with Oliver Bjorkstrand as well. So Yanni Gourde gets the 3rd star of the week.
I never knew him to be such a playmaker either. I mean, he doesn't have a goal yet. He's been robbed a couple times. He's had some bad puck luck a couple times. But if he isn't putting up the assists, man, he's doing a really, really good job. And it's not even like conventional assists. Like they're Yanni Gourde assists. He jams the puck into the crease, and then chaos happens, and then somebody taps it in. It is your quintessential Yanni Gourde offensive play. And, that's not even – that's only a fraction of his game. There was a reason why every, gritty kind of player that came into the organization after he left, you're like, yeah, he plays a little bit like Yanni Gourde because he's just such a one-of-a-kind player. I mean, again, the stats might not look great. I think he's got 10 assists since he's been back, but dude, I mean, he just plays relentless. We all know how he plays, and he just does it every single night, and it's paying dividends. You can complain about the price we paid for him in Bjorkstrand, but right now it seems perfectly worth it.
I mean, that's well said. I don't think there's much more to add than what you already have put in. I mean, he had 2 shots in the Islanders game, 3 shots in the Ottawa one. The Ottawa one, he got completely robbed of a goal, and he's been out there just creating chaos and generating opportunities. So what more could you ask out of the guy? I, would love to see him get on the scoreboard with some goals himself, but he's helping contribute in ways that allow the Lightning to score and not get scored on. So, I mean, I love the effort he's putting in.
He's just saving that goal for when the Islanders somehow sneak into the playoffs and then he scores a huge one against them to get them eliminated. That's what I'm making on here. But yeah, Gourde has been great. He gets a 3rd star of the week. Well-deserved. Welcome back, Yanni Gourde. Our number 2 star of the week, though, is a guy who is heating up at the right time. We said it last week, and he's continued to stay hot. That was our big thing. Can he continue to stay hot as we get closer and closer to the playoffs? Braden Point, number 2 star of the week, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and was a +2. Great stuff from him as always.
And with Pointer, I feel like in the last couple of weeks we've seen him exhibit his speed a lot more than maybe a month or so ago, and who knows, maybe it's just like a personal opinion, and what I'm saying isn't accurate, or maybe he was had like a little thing bothering him, but I feel like he's jumping defensemen so quick right now when he's got the puck and skating so fast that it makes a huge difference. And you saw that again with some of the breakaways that he got, and he was able to split the D a couple of times just from catching them a little bit flat-footed. And if he can push back the defense on his entries, it opens up everyone else to come in as a trailer, and he's doing a really, really solid job of that right now.
Yeah, his greatest skill is his speed. It's no secret, and like you were saying, Joe, a couple weeks ago, it just wasn't really clicking for him. He was going through a pretty heinous drought in his for his standards. And in this Ottawa game, there was one play where he was just a half stride away from having just a breakaway from the blue line in. It was well defended by the Ottawa defenseman, but you're really starting to see him just stretch his legs and use his best asset to better the team. So a guy who I think this is his 3rd consecutive week on the Stars list. So just catching fire at the right time. So hopefully he can keep it up come playoffs, because he is a playoff player. He really is.
Keep it up. Now, I said at the beginning of this was the Nikita Kucherov 3 stars of the week because it feels like he's on it every single week. Guess what? He's back. Nikita Kucherov gets the number 1 star of the week. I mean, the guy is just ridiculous. It's crazy. 3 assists for him this week because, as we all know, Kucherov hates scoring goals. He'd much rather get the assist anyway. He was a +1. Great stuff from Kuch.
I got nothing.
Heart. That's all I got to say, Heart.
It's so at the point we're at with Nikita Kucherov, just – I got nothing. Heart. He was great. That's all.
How about the assist he gave to Jake Gensel in the Islanders game? Like, he followed the puck into the corner, dragged 3 Islanders defenders with him just to casually just over to Gensel. It was beautiful.
And on that call, like, I'm not a huge Subban fan. I don't know. I just don't necessarily. But he was absolutely giving all the credit in the world to Kucherov with some crazy comments that he was making too on national broadcast, but seeing him get recognition and some love is a neat thing, because even though he's always really high up there with the points, I still feel like he's an underappreciated player in the league.
PK Subban might love Nikita Kucherov more than I love Zach Bogosian, and that's saying something. Like that whole broadcast, he was loving Kucherov so much. There was one time where he was like, "I'm not calling him Wayne Gretzky, but do you see Wayne doing this kind of stuff?" Like it was just crazy. It was so funny. It's
funny too, because like we've complained a lot, Lightning fans in general, that the national broadcasts are usually pretty bad and they're very one-sided. Even I was sitting there like, okay, PK, We got it. We know Kuch is good. It was honestly funny how much he was talking about Nikita Kucherov and how good he was. I mean, he was. Well,
What's the term that you use, Matt?
I'm redacted.
I almost said it myself. I was like, I'm not going to use Matt's word.
I had to bite my tongue too.
I think he even posted a clip of him in the booth, like a booth cam, and it's so funny because he sees the goal or the assist and he goes, like he's just in shock. It's fantastic. Listen, hey, we love you, PK. That was they gave us a good laugh. So hopefully we'll get to see a little more of that come postseason time. Kucherov can keep up the great work. Do have a quick comment here to get to from Beverly before we get into the schedule ahead for the Lightning. She's asking, how can we not have budgeted for Isaac Howard? I don't get it. I know this is a common question among Lightning fans. We've signed a couple of the players that are going to be down in the AHL next year for their contracts, and everybody now that Howard team has been eliminated is asking, why haven't we signed Isaac Howard? To be honest with you, I don't know why, but also I did pull up our cap space, and I found this hilarious. The Lightning currently have $146,000 in cap space, and their projected cap space is $8,000. So the Lightning are literally on the cap.
JBB is a great accountant. I'll say that.
He is. I will say this, though, Beverly. Even if they had the cap space, even if they signed him now, which they will sign him eventually, I don't think he would play in the postseason. I don't think that's the plan they have for him, especially when you got Geeky down in the AHL. Don't forget about him. I expect him to be back up once the playoffs start. And the way it's always has been playing, I just don't see Geeky playing in any playoff game, even how good he is. I think they want him to start in the AHL, and they will sign him. They're not going to let a guy like that go.
Yeah, Howard won't have a better opportunity than on this team. So, there's a news article that says that Isaac Howard reportedly in staring contest with the Lightning. Yeah, it's pretty much what it's going to be. It's just going to be waiting because that's kind of where we're at in the season right now. He's not going to get any time playing this season for the NHL squad. There's no way that they'd put in somebody that doesn't have any real experience with the team to throw him towards into the playoffs. So I don't think he's going to go anywhere because I think you'd want to play with somebody like, have the opportunity to play with someone like Kucherov, have the opportunity to learn from the guys that we have on this squad. So I'm not personally too worried, but I am excited for when he does actually come because they'll make space.
Plus, too, you sign him in the offseason. He may or may not play next year, but at the very least, he'll probably have a deal in the offseason when you can allocate a little bit more money to him, and you get him. You sign him to a 3-year entry level deal. You have an extra year instead of burning part of that ELC this year. If you let him play, 9 games or 10 games, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So cool. You get him for an extra year at under $1 million or whatever it is, $775. So that's another little perk. That's maybe thinking ahead.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they never signed him and he ends up somewhere else. I fully expect him to be with the Lightning at some point. JBB will do what he needs to do. And you're right, Matt. I don't think there's a spot for him right here, right now. I don't think that's the right move anyway for a young player like him, even with how good he has been in college. So patience, I think he'll get there. We'll have to wait and see. That's more of an off-season thing. I hope that answered your question, though, Beverly. All right, let's look at the road ahead here for the Lightning. We've got 3 games this week, starting tonight as of this recording. The Lightning playing the Rangers at 7 p.m. Eastern in New York, and then they will come back home to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That one on Wednesday, again 7 p.m. Eastern. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday, they will take on the Detroit Red Wings. Guys, for me, the big game this week is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This kind of determines, are you going to have a shot at first place in the Atlantic Division? The Lightning currently 4 points behind the Maple Leafs. They are even in games played. If you beat the Leafs, you are now 2 points behind the Leafs, still even in games played. I don't know what Toronto's schedule is and how that'll match up by the time we play, but big game against Toronto if you want to win first in the Atlantic, or at least have a chance.
I mean, we get a really consistent schedule here, which I like. It's every other day, and except for the Buffalo game that's at 6 p.m., every game is at 7. So, so it makes it nice to get a little bit of consistency into their diet, and work out a literal workout regimen to make sure that they're doing some body maintenance leading into the playoffs. If they can continue to play the way they have the past couple of weeks, I mean, home advantage would be nice, but the way it's shuffling all around, there's no guarantee of who the Lightning are going to play no matter where they end up. So focus one game at a time, and I'd say start getting to that playoff style defense.
Do you guys want some good news?
Yes.
Love it.
I'm going to the Toronto Maple Leafs game in Tampa and the Red Wings game too. So a pretty important game that I'm 8-0 right now. So hopefully,
I'll put in my bet.
Thank you. We'll take the over.
I will not put in my bet because that'll probably counter your good luck. So
yeah, Jake, don't you dare place a wager.
I'm going to bet on the Leafs.
It's like a unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe if I bet on the Leafs, that'll double our chances.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Could you sleep at night if you did that?
No, I don't think I could. but I'm willing to make the sacrifice if it means we win the Atlantic. So
team player.
That's the big game for the Lightning. They are going to have 4 home games here in this stretch. They have one against the Panthers on Tuesday, but that'll be next week. But 4 home games, 2 road games left in the season, majority at home, which helps the Lightning when racing for this Atlantic spot because they are better at home than they have been on the road. It's going to be a tight race right down to the end. We'll be right here to cover it all. Don't forget to follow us on social media at RBLR Sports, at RBLR Lightning, so we can get you guys all the information you need. You can join us live, ring that bell for notifications, hit that share button, all that great fun stuff. But guys, I think that's going to do it for us in this episode, unless we don't have anything else to hit on and miss anything, correct?
Let's get to our TVs before this game starts.
It's time for the Lightning versus Rangers. Hopefully we get a big win to talk about next week. That's going to do it for us in this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.